Most entrepreneurs want to know how to increase sales. This is a complex issue with multiple touch points, but one thing is certain. Most entrepreneurs make the same mistakes when trying to figure it out. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to use facts to determine your next steps when it comes to increasing your sales.
Hi, I'm Deidre Harder, a CPA and business strategy coach, and this is my partner, Carmen Reed Gilkison, a certified whole person coach. We started our business, Encore Empire, to help women in midlife build a profitable online business in a way that leverages their unique life experience and honors their values to provide the financial and time freedom that they've worked so long and so hard to attain. Now, the three most common mistakes that entrepreneurs tend to make that we've seen in working with our clients, we're going to go through those three mistakes today, and here they are. So the first one is doing more of the same versus doing what's effective. The second mistake is lowering prices to get more sales. And the third is tacking on a new tactic without maximizing what you're already doing.
That's right. So, mistake number one, doing more of the same versus doing what's effective. It's common to think that you have to work harder and do more to increase sales. But the reality is if what you're already doing isn't working, then doing more of it isn't going to get you anywhere. So, how do you determine what is effective and what to change and what to focus on? So you need to focus on gathering data, okay? As humans, we're very emotion driven, but facts and data tell us the story if we're willing to open our eyes and read it as information, okay? You take the emotion out of it. So you focus on gathering data instead of blindly increasing your workload. And here's what's effective: making sure that you're in tune with your ideal client's needs. So regularly doing research on who your ideal customer is critical. You may have filled out an ideal client avatar sheet when you first went into business, but the market changes and your ideal client's needs change as well. So you have to keep up on this piece in order to be sure that what you're offering is relevant. How often are you touching base one-on-one with your customers? If you're a coach, you may be meeting with them regularly, but are you asking questions that ensure you understand their needs? If you're a product-based business owner, when was the last time you asked for product feedback? Regular touch points should be part of your foundational business strategy. You need to build that into your process. And we like to use standard operating procedures. Those are something that it takes a little time in the beginning to put them together, but they help keep your process running smoothly and ensure that you don't miss these important steps. So the second thing that's very effective is to make sure you know your market. Maybe more sales isn't the issue, but making more on each sale is what you need. So, what are your competitors offering? Are you able to identify a gap in your market that you can fill that will allow you to increase your prices? If you can see the correlation between your clients' needs and what is being offered in the marketplace, you can bridge any gaps that exist. And doing this will enable you to charge more by virtue of the fact that you bring more to the table than your competitors.
That's right. And so now let's talk about mistake number two. So when you're looking at how to increase sales, a lot of times you think lowering the price is the answer, right? Because it stands to reason, all right, well, I'll just lower my price and then more people are going to buy. But before you do that, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Okay, the first question to ask yourself is, what else can you offer your clients and customers? It takes 5 times more time and energy to get a new client than it does to serve your existing client, right? Because they already know you, like you, they love what you've got. And so it's much easier to offer them something else. So just, you have to think out of the box a little bit. But, what else are they already buying? They're already in the market. They already want to buy something. And maybe you can fulfill that. Now, and you might be thinking, well, I'm just a service provider, or I'm a coach, and I don't know what else I could give them other than what they're already buying from me. But if you really think about it, there are lots of ways that you can increase the client spend. And that's through bundling, creating packages, and even collaborations with others. Now, we've done some training on this inside of our free Facebook group, and we'd love for you to come in and join us there. And there's some free training right there inside of the guides that you can review that goes into this in a little more detail. But basically, the idea is, think about, what else would they need? What else would they want? And if you don't know, then ask them. Okay, just like Carmen talked about, just ask them what they need. Ask them, make sure that you're covering all your bases, that you're giving them what they want, and say, what else could you think of that you would need that maybe I could provide for you? And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be grand. It can just be something small, because, you can, if you increase by 10%, okay, and it's across the board, it doesn't take much more work. And then you just increased your overall revenue by 10%. So another question you can ask yourself is, what kind of buyer is your client or your customer? And by that, I mean, are they a value buyer or are they a price buyer? So what is the difference? Well, someone who's a value buyer, they're not as concerned about the cost of something. They're concerned about getting something that's of high quality, that's exclusive, that's custom. If they want, they want FaceTime with you, those kinds of things. Those are value buyers. So if you are trying to lower your price to attract someone who is really a value buyer, if that's your ideal client, then it's going to work the opposite of what you want. You're actually going to be pushing them away. So there's actually a possibility your price is too low already. So you have to really get into this ideal client. What's their buying behavior? Now, are they concerned about price? They're looking for the lowest price, or do they want that value piece? So once you determine that, then that's how is your price in line? A third question you can ask yourself is, if you decide that you want to test out a lower price, like let's say you go through this value buyer versus price buyer, and you determine, I think I really am working with price buyers, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Neither, not one or the other is bad, and they're all good customers. So if you determine, okay, yeah, I'm working with the price buyer. So what you can do is you can keep your price the way that it is, but then you can use a discount code or a coupon as an incentive. So you use it to your advantage, because then it creates an urgency. It's a special one-time offer, and you can do this again and again. It can be different at different times for different lengths of time. And this also keeps you from having your price fluctuating up and down all the time, because then people, not that they're tracking everything you're doing, but what if somebody says, well, last month I saw that it was this price, now this month it's this price, so that's an inconsistency for them. And so instead of doing that, you just keep your price the way that it is, and you can test this lower price option to see if this is really going to do the trick, but you're not permanently changing your price. You just keep it where it is. And this discount code, that then informs you, as Carmen said, we're always looking at the data. What does the data say? You can track this and see, okay, when I use this coupon code, did I get more sales from it? And then that will let you know before you make a permanent change, because that's the thing. You have to remember, when you change, the world is watching you. So if you make a big permanent change, you might back yourself into a corner on that, or appear to be inconsistent, or, or they think something has changed about what it is that you offer.
Such good information. Yes. So mistake number 3, tacking on a new tactic without maximizing what you're already doing. So you need to learn how to slow down to speed up, we like to say. and we're all conditioned to want instant gratification. But don't let that mentality seep into your business mindset. Ensuring that you have a solid foundational business strategy that has been developed based on real data is what you need before adding new tactics. And this is what our specialty is, because this is the gap in the market that we identified. Most people come into online entrepreneurship with pie in the sky dreams, and they may have some experience with their expertise, and maybe they have experience in another area, but they don't have a foundational business strategy. No one's taught them how to make sure that what they're building is on a solid foundation. Just like construction, you don't want to be building on a quicksand, you want to be building on bedrock. And so we want to make sure that before you start skyrocketing forward, that you have slowed down enough that you put that in place before you speed up. So don't abandon what might be working if you gave it a chance. This is the other thing to think about. When we're talking about wanting instant gratification and making more sales, and to us, it seems like we've been doing this thing forever and ever. And one thing to remember is you know your products and services. You've heard your pitch or your advertisements or whatever it is so many times that you might get tired of it way before anyone else will. So if you're getting tired of it, it just means that you're saying it enough. If you're not getting tired of it, it means you're not getting it out there enough. You have to realize that it takes longer than you think before things are going to happen. So you may be doing everything right, but not giving your process enough time to bear fruit. So if what you're doing is obviously working, you may simply just need to scale it, and again, you need time for it to do what you set it up to do, hoping that you understand how to set up that foundational business strategy and let it run its course, collecting data all the way, so that then you can read that data and make an informed decision and not an emotional one. So whatever you do, don't let impatience or shiny object syndrome pull you into trying new things if you haven't documented your process and run it long enough to gather data so you can optimize for the results that you need and want.
That's right. All right. So let's take a minute now. Let's review what we just talked about. So we're going to review the 3 most common mistakes that entrepreneurs make when they're trying to increase sales. So the first one was doing more of the same versus doing what's effective. And the important points here to remember is that gathering data tells you what you need to know instead of just blindly throwing more time and energy at it. The second thing to know in this area is that it's important to revalidate, re-clarify your ICA, your ideal client avatar. Be sure that you're in tune with what they need. And how do we do that? We do it by asking them, right? Having a conversation. And, beyond just getting good data from them and asking them for your own purposes, what that's going to do is that makes them feel heard, and it makes them feel very important that you appreciate their opinion so much. So not only is it going to give you the information you need, but you're going to really build even more rapport with them than you already had. So that's kind of a side benefit there. The other important thing is to know your market and know your competition. Okay, identify the gap and then set yourself apart. If you really start looking, and it doesn't have to be huge. We're not talking about, Grand Canyon gap. We're talking about one small thing, like, really study what is it that they're doing that's similar to me that I can see that could be improved. A 1% improvement. That's it. That's all you need to find. And then you put that thing into yours, and then all of a sudden, you are unique in the market because you are the only one who is offering that particular improvement. Yeah. So the second mistake that we keep seeing is that people keep lowering their prices to get more sales. And we talked about it takes 5 times longer and more effort to get a new customer than to sell to your existing customers. So look for those add-on sales to your existing customers. And again, if you can't come up with an idea about it or aren't sure, Ask them. They'll be happy to tell you. Plus, it's more convenient for them. If they're going to you to get one thing, you've heard of one-stop shop. Not that you can be all things to everyone, but if you can pull in one or two more things that they're having to go elsewhere in the market to get, and they can just get it from you, how much more convenient is that for them? So the other piece of this lowering the price business is understanding your client's buying behavior. Are they a value buyer or are they a price buyer? And to make sure you're in alignment with that your pricing is in alignment. Because if you're pricing too low and you're really wanting to serve value buyers, and that's really who your ideal client is, then you're not going to get anybody because your price is too low. You put your price up much higher because then they see there's value there. Because what's the old phrase we've heard? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Then that's the idea. They're going to think, well, this can't be any good, or they can't be an expert because, gosh, look how cheap that is. Mm-hmm. So that's what you want to avoid. And then the third mistake was tacking on a new tactic without maximizing what you're already doing. So Carmen talked about slowing down to speed up and how important that is to have a solid strategic plan in place first, because that's how you're going to keep from running around trying all these new things. And then taking the time to analyze and track your metrics. List out those key indicators. What is it that you can track to see the results over time, to know if it's working or not? And be sure to give it the time it needs before you can see a result. Don't be too hasty. I've heard that you're supposed to keep things in place for 18 months, 12 months, but 12 months for sure, to really, unless it's totally broken and like really, really not working. But if it has worked on some level, then you just need to maximize it and you don't need to throw it away. Yeah. And my final thought here is for you guys to remember is don't let the pressure of increasing sales get your mindset to the point of it takes you off track. And you begin throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what's going to stick, because then you will start spiraling down and it just gets worse and worse and your decisions become poorer and poorer. So does your bank account. So don't let that pressure of, I got to get more sales. Like, slow down and breathe and really take the time to analyze. And those are you follow all these things we talked about today, and you're going to avoid those 3 mistakes that we see so many people making, and that's going to help you be profitable and sustainable in your business. And as we said before, come join us in the Empire of Unstoppable Women Facebook group. There's a lot more training just like this one that you can consume inside the guides, and we're there every day to help you increase the profits and success in your business.